You open Discord and it's using 800 megabytes of RAM to send messages in text channels. Meanwhile, the computer that put humans on the moon had 4 kilobytes. What is happening? Like, why does a calculator app need 200 megs? Why does Spotify need half a gig just to play a song you've already downloaded? Why does opening Slack feel like launching a spaceship when all you're doing is reading, "Hey, can we sync up later?" And here's the thing that makes it weirder. None of this stuff feels particularly faster than it did 10 years ago. If anything, it feels slower. So where's all that memory going? Okay, so the easy answer is just developers are lazy now, right? They don't care about efficiency anymore because RAM is cheap and abundant. Just throw more memory at the problem. Except that's not really it. Or it's part of it, but if that's all it was, we'd just be angry at programmers and move on. There's something weirder happening. Let me show you. So most of the apps eating your RAM right now, Discord, Slack, Spotify, even Visual Studio Code, they're all built with something called Electron. And Electron is basically a web browser. Now, seriously, you know how you can open Spotify in Chrome? The Electron version of Spotify is Chrome. They literally packaged an entire Chromium browser engine inside the app just so it can display the same interface. Which means when you open Discord, you're not just opening a messaging app, you're opening a full web browser that only displays Discord. Every single one of these apps is carrying around its own private Firefox, basically. And yeah, that sounds insane, but here's why they do it. It's fast to build. Imagine you're a developer and you need to make an app that works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Normally, you'd have to write 3 completely different versions, different code, different interfaces, different everything. Or you could just build a website and then wrap that website in a tiny browser. Now it works everywhere instantly because every computer can run a browser. It's like building houses from the same prefab kit instead of custom designing each one. Yeah, it uses more materials, but you can build 50 houses in the time it would have taken to build 5. Okay, but here's the weird part. Even apps that aren't built with Electron are still using way more memory than they used to. Why? Because modern software is just doing more. Like, think about what Spotify actually does. It's not just playing an MP3 file. It's streaming variable bitrate audio, downloading album art in 4K, syncing your library across devices, running a recommendation algorithm, displaying animated transitions, handling offline mode, processing voice commands, showing you what your friends are listening to, running ads, preloading the next song. All of that takes memory. Your calculator app. It's not just adding numbers, it's rendering vector graphics at retina resolution, supporting dark mode, syncing your history to the cloud, handling gestures, supporting accessibility features, supporting widgets, and all of this stuff lives in RAM because pulling it from your hard drive every time would make everything feel like you're computing through molasses. Here's something most people get backwards. Empty RAM is wasted RAM. Your computer didn't buy 16 gigs of memory just to look at it. If you've got 10 gigs sitting there doing nothing, that's not efficient, that's just potential you're not using. So, modern apps will actually cache things aggressively. They'll load stuff into memory before you even ask for it. Your browser keeps your last 10 tabs in RAM even though you're only looking at 1. Spotify preloads songs you haven't played yet. Your email app keeps your entire inbox ready to scroll. And yeah, that uses memory, but it also means when you switch tabs or skip a song, it's instant, no loading, no spinning wheel. You're basically trading memory for speed. Okay, but then why does it feel slow sometimes? Because of the other thing eating your RAM, security. Modern operating systems run every app in its own little sandbox. That means if Discord crashes or gets hacked, it can't touch your banking app. Each app gets its own protected memory space, its own process, its own resources, which is great for security, really great, but it also means you can't share memory between apps anymore. 20 years ago, if 5 apps all needed the same system font, they'd share one copy. Now, each app loads its own copy into its own sandbox, So you've got 5 copies of the same font sitting in RAM, completely separated, unable to talk to each other. Multiply that across everything, fonts, libraries, code, graphics, and suddenly you see why a simple text editor needs 300 megs. And here's the kicker. Remember how I said developers prioritize features over efficiency? It's not because they're lazy, it's because you are why they do it. Every time you ask for dark mode, that's more code. Every time you want the app to remember your settings across devices, that's more memory. Every time you expect instant search, real-time sync, offline mode, undo history, autosave, you're asking for features that require memory. And when a company has to choose between make the app use 100 megs less RAM or add the feature users keep requesting, they add the feature because you'll complain about missing features way louder than you'll complain about RAM usage. Unless your computer literally runs out of memory, you probably won't even notice. So in a weird way, bloated apps exist because we all have enough RAM that bloat doesn't matter yet, which is kind of beautiful and kind of horrifying. The Apollo guidance computer had 4 kilobytes because it had to, because every byte was handcrafted and precious and irreplaceable. Your Discord app has 800 megabytes because it can, because RAM is cheap and features are expensive and shipping fast matters more than shipping light. We're not building rockets anymore. We're building furniture. Fast, modular, good enough furniture that works everywhere and ships tomorrow. And sometimes that furniture is a whole web browser just so you can say LOL in a text channel. Which, honestly, is exactly the kind of wasteful, ridiculous, beautiful thing humans would do.